Hey everyone, my name is Riley, and in this video, I'm going to break down what an LLC is, how it works, and whether it's the right choice for you. If you are starting a business, choosing the right structure is one of the most important decisions that you'll make, and an LLC or a limited liability company is one of the most popular options for small business owners because it provides both legal protection and tax flexibility. In this video, I will cover what an LLC actually is and how it works, the pros and cons so you know if it's the right fit for your business, and how to form an LLC step by step. I will also introduce you to my recommended LLC formation service that handles the entire process for you, including the filing, the compliance, and even offering unlimited phone and email support. So if you ever run into legal or tax questions later down the line, you'll have expert guidance just a phone call away. As always, if you do decide to use my recommended service, I may earn a small commission at no extra cost to you, and I've thoroughly researched all of the options out there, and I trust this service to provide top-notch support. With that being said, let's get started. First of all, with what an LLC actually is. So an LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Company, is a legal business structure that combines the best of both worlds. It combines the simplicity and tax flexibility of a sole proprietorship with the liability protection of a corporation. What this means is that your personal assets, so your car, your house, and your savings, are protected if your business gets sued or if you run into financial trouble. This is very different to a sole proprietorship where the owner and the business are legally the same thing. Setting up an LLC is going to create a separation between these, meaning your business has its own bank account, its own contracts, and its own liabilities. And if something happens, well, people just can't come after your personal assets. In terms of how an LLC works and functions, it works by legally separating your business from you, but without the formalities of a corporation. So on top of having the liability protection, an LLC is also going to allow you pass-through taxation, which means that unlike corporations, an LLC doesn't pay federal income tax at the business level. Instead, the profits pass through to the owners who report them on their personal tax returns. So essentially what this means is there's no double taxation like there is with corporations, where you get taxed at both the business level and then the personal level as well. Another benefit of an LLC is how flexible the ownership is. So with an LLC, you can set up a single member LLC, which has just one owner, or a multi-member LLC, which has multiple owners. An LLC also doesn't require a board of directors or corporate meetings, which makes running an LLC much simpler than a corporation. Because of this, there is also much less paperwork. So compared to a corporation, you have far fewer legal requirements and formalities. And although you still need to file an LLC formation document with your state, the whole process is much easier than that of a corporation. So now that you know how an LLC works, let's go over the biggest advantages and disadvantages so you can decide if it's right for you. Starting out with the advantages, of course, we have the personal asset protection, we have the pass-through taxation, so you avoid corporate taxes and profits go directly to you. There is less paperwork and compliance, and you also have flexible ownership. Some of the disadvantages of an LLC is the fact that you still have to pay self-employment taxes. So with self-employment taxes, these can sometimes be higher than corporate tax rates, but a lot of the time, especially for smaller businesses, the paperwork and the headache that goes into setting up and maintaining a corporation really isn't worth the tax benefits that you are going to get. Another disadvantage is going to be the state fees and regulation. So some states in particular have higher LLC fees or extra compliance requirements. An LLC is also not ideal for raising capital. So if you have maybe a later stage business where you plan to attract investors, you might want to go down the path of a corporation. Now, if you decide that an LLC is right for your business, here is a quick overview of the steps to form an LLC. So step number one is going to be choosing a business name. With this, your business name must be unique and it must comply with your state-specific guidelines. So to do this, you want to check for trademarks, you want to check for domain availability, and you want to do this to avoid conflicts later on. This is a small step, but it's very important for branding and legal purposes. Step number two is going to be filing the LLC's formation documents. So to do this, you need to submit your articles of organization or similar documents to the Secretary of State's office in your state. This officially registers your LLC, and whilst this can seem pretty intimidating, there are many formation services that handle this for you, saving you a lot of time and making sure everything is filed correctly. Step number 3 is going to be appointing a registered agent. So a registered agent is a person or a company that receives legal documents on behalf of your LLC. You can be your own registered agent, but a lot of people prefer to use a professional service for both privacy and reliability. Doing this just means you have one less thing to worry about, especially if you're running your business remotely. Step number 4 is creating an operating agreement. This is optional but recommended. And although this is not always required, sometimes it actually can be depending on your state. But either way, having an operating agreement in place is going to allow you to outline your LLC structures, the ownership, the decision-making process. And this is especially important for multi-member LLCs, as this is going to prevent future disputes. Step number 5 is going to be getting an EIN, which is an employer identification number. This is a free number that you get from the IRS, and you are going to need this to open a bank account and file taxes. This is super easy to get from the IRS website and doesn't cost a dime, but if you're working with a formation service, they may actually handle this for you. And then the 6th and the final step is to comply with state requirements. So some states are going to require you to submit additional reports or meet publication requirements. And additionally, depending on your business, you might need certain licenses or permits. What I would recommend is check your state's specific rules to remain compliant. But as I say, a much easier way to do this is to use a company formation agent, as they will handle all of this for you. They will give you compliance alerts and they'll tell you everything that you need to know. My recommended service is Bizee, and they handle everything for you, including the filing, the compliance, and they even give you a free registered agent for the first year. So if you're ready to make this official and you're ready to set up your LLC, let's jump into my screen and I will show you step by step how to form your LLC with Bizee. So to get started with Bizee, just click on the top link down in the description and it's going to take you over to this page right here. So all we need to do is click on this orange button that says form your LLC. And in here, we can then choose the entity type, which is of course going to be LLC. And then we select the state that we are going to form the LLC in. So in this example, let's just choose Minnesota, and we can see right here, we have each of these Bizee plans. The plan pricing is this big one at the top. And then underneath, we have the mandatory state fee that we have to pay to the state. So depending on the state fee is of course going to change, but the Bizee pricing is going to remain consistent. So once we have chosen a state that we want to go for, I will go for New York in this example. We can then choose our Bizee plan. Now, the one that I would recommend going for is this standard plan right here. And the reason for this is because this gives you access to everything that we need with Bizee. So with this, they will prepare and file the articles of organization. We get the free registered agent for the first year. They will also set up our EIN business tax number for us. They will create the operating agreement. And then down here, two very important things is the lifetime compliance alerts to make sure you are always compliant, and the unlimited phone and email support, where if you have any questions, you can just give them a call. So we can select the standard plan right here and then click on get started. And in this area, this is where we can now choose our LLC name. So we just want to go ahead and type this in, and then it's going to tell us if this is an available name, which this is. So we can go ahead and click on next. In here, we can then choose if we want to pay an extra $50 and get this expedited filing time, or whether we want to go for the standard filing time. What I would say about this is don't really worry about this if you're not in a crazy rush to set up and form your business. So we just select if we want this add-on or not, and then we can click on next. In here, you then want to enter in your contact information as the person setting up this LLC. And then once this is filled in, we can go to the next page. In here, it's now going to ask if we want to use our own address or if we want to use Bizee's virtual mail service. Essentially, what this means is that if we choose to go for our own address, the address that you provide to the state will be listed publicly. So this is like a privacy measure if you don't want your address to be listed publicly. And if we go with this, this is the address. This is, of course, owned by Bizee, and this is where all of your mail will be sent to. So in here, what they will do is they will go ahead and scan this in and they will email you this across. And this is only $29 per month, so fantastic value for this. So we can select this if we want to get access to this. go down and enter in our contact information. And once this is entered, we can go through to the next page. On here, Bizee will then try to upsell us, so it's completely up to you if you want to go for this. This is not necessary at all. But in here, we get a contract library, of course, the expedited filing, and a business phone number. But I'm just going to skip this for now. And in here, this is where we can now add the members that are going to be a part of this LLC. So we just go in and select how many members are going to be in here. I'm just going to go for one, which is myself. We can then go ahead and autofill this information and then go down and click on next. From here, this is where Bizee are now going to offer us this free registered agent for the first year. So this is definitely something that we want to take advantage of. So we can just make sure that is selected and then go next. This screen is now where we apply for the EIN, or the tax identification number. So to do this, we can just autofill the information. And then for the identification, which is needed to obtain the EIN, we can either do this through an SSN or an ITIN. With the ITIN, this takes longer to actually complete. So as you can see with an ITIN, this takes up to 12 weeks to obtain. So highly recommended going with a social security number. We can just enter that in right here. Then we can go down and autofill this street address and click on next. Bizee will then ask if you want to bank with one of their partners. This is once again not necessary at all, but it does make it a little bit easier as everything is in one place. For now though, I'm just going to say ask me later. They will then offer us a free tax strategy call, so there's no strings attached to this. Once again, there's no reason to not take them up on this offer. So we can say, yes, I would like to receive this business tax consultation. And then from here, it's going to take us over to the order summary. So just go through and carefully check that you filled this all out correctly and all of this information is correct. And then we can click on next. And the final step in this process is just entering in the card information that we would like to use. So we can enter that in, agree to the legal statement and cancellation policy, and then complete and pay. So that is what an LLC is, how an LLC works, and also how you can form an LLC. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to smash that like button and tap that subscribe button. And until next time, take it easy.